It's not a car company, it's a data company. But it was way...
$850 billion. That's the market cap of the most valuable car company in the world, Tesla. But in the same way that Apple is not really a phone company, Tesla is not really a car company. Tesla is more of a data company that also sells cars, among other things, and one could argue that Tesla is the equivalent of Apple but for the automotive industry. Maybe that doesn't quite make sense yet, but here's my thinking. In 2007, Apple kicked off the smartphone revolution with the original iPhone. Apple then set out on an ambitious mission to be in full control of every aspect of the Apple experience, building their ecosystem with that, and this control has landed them in legal trouble over an alleged monopoly. Now, if you look at Tesla, it is a different market to be fair, but with the original Tesla Roadster, they kickstarted the electric vehicle revolution. And then they also set out on an ambitious mission to be in full control of every aspect of the Tesla experience, from purchasing the vehicle to charging and servicing it. And this too has landed them in legal trouble over an alleged monopoly. But while the comparison is interesting, I'm more curious about the recent news regarding Tesla.
John, take a look at shares of General Motors 2 weeks after its competitor Ford said it would strike a deal with Tesla to use the NACS Tesla charging standard. GM is now saying that it will do the same thing. So starting in 2025, it will be incorporating the Tesla NACS charging standard into its EVs so that GM EVs will then be able to charge at Tesla supercharger sites. Also, before then, starting in...
Specifically, I'm interested in how this might show just how much control Tesla has over the EV experience. Hello people of the internet, I'm Nico, a guy who has often been accused of being a Tesla hater, and today I will likely get the same treatment for making a video explaining why Tesla opening up its charging port for other car manufacturers to use is not as good as it seems. For those of you who don't keep up with the latest news in the automotive industry, multiple car companies have announced that they would start using Tesla's charging port. It's now called the NACS, or the North American Charging Standard, and making the switch comes with one obvious bonus: that you can use Tesla's far superior charging network without needing a Tesla. You may be wondering why car manufacturers didn't jump on this sooner, and the answer is simply that they couldn't. Up until recently, the charger technology was proprietary, and the only reason that is no longer the case is because of one massive change in politics. When President Biden entered office, he made a big show of signing a bunch of documents that he probably doesn't remember, but there was one item on his agenda that he did not rush: the Inflation Reduction Act. This is a big change for America. For one thing, it includes a lot of stuff to rebuild old infrastructure that was not properly maintained. Now, I could make a whole video explaining all of the problems with the infrastructure here in America, but that video will have to wait for another day. One of the things in the bill relevant to this video though, is that money would be allocated to building charging stations across the nation with a catch. The bill states that funding would only go to companies that were building charging stations that could accommodate more than one company's electric cars. Now this obviously left Tesla out of the equation since they made their charging network specifically for their cars. But then the bill came and suddenly they decide to let everyone else use their charging technology. Funny how that works. While likely not the only reason, the incentive is still very obvious, because previously Tesla was doing this on their own dime, using a portion of their profit margins to pay for the charging infrastructure. But now, where they have the option for federal funding, Tesla can now build out their charging network, which improves on their customers' experience, and they get an increase in revenue from all the future customers that they will have from all the other people driving non-Tesla cars that will then use their chargers. Because of the increased customer base using Tesla's charging stations, many more people will decide to download the Tesla app, which is one place Tesla gets their most valuable commodity, data. To be clear, Tesla makes their money from selling cars, their subscription services, and charging, but what they collect the most is data. For example, whenever somebody uses a Tesla supercharger, the information on what time of day it was, for how long they were charging, from what percentage they started charging at to what percentage they stopped, all of that kind of information will be compiled and collected and used to optimize their products. And the same likely goes for all the other things you can do in a Tesla, from music or video streaming to common routes driven to average miles driven per day. But specifically for charging, since Tesla can collect all of this data, they can use all of it to figure out what the highest demand places are for Tesla charging stations, which gives them a huge upper hand and a chance for a monopoly. Big statement, I know, but hear me out. SAE International, an organization that specializes in standardizing technology, recently announced that they would in fact standardize Tesla's North American Charging Standard connector. This means that any supplier or manufacturer can use, manufacture, or deploy this connector on EVs and charging stations, which, while good at first glance, does have a caveat to keep in mind. Currently, the agreed upon charging standard in the US is something called CCS. It's big, it's ugly, it's slower than Tesla's charger, and it's just kind of bad in comparison. Worse still, it's not even the most popular charging standard here in America. According to Tesla, their vehicles outnumber CCS-equipped vehicles 2 to 1, and their charging network has 60% more charging stations than all CCS networks combined. If that is true, then Tesla has a big upper hand in the charging experience, and with the government funding, their lead will likely only get larger. Add on the fact that CCS networks are about to lose out on future customers from car companies switching to Tesla's charger, and, well, you get the idea. Tesla is making some big moves to get ahead of the competition, and it looks to me like they will succeed. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind later. If you want to know more about how Tesla fights to keep everything under their control, like for instance sales or servicing, then you can watch this video here when it pops up. Until next time, people of the internet, peace out.